to my kitchen. This is Mrs. Stewart, and today we're going to be making a Texas two-step coleslaw. And let's get going. This is my favorite coleslaw. I have to tell you, I never liked coleslaw growing up. I thought it was slimy and gross, and then my friend turned me on to this recipe, and I absolutely love it. So, the recipe that I have posted is a very big recipe. It has multiple cups of cabbage. Well, I don't want to make such a big one today. And I decided to leave it big and just make it a little smaller so that you can see how adaptable this recipe is. You can half it, you can add a little more of one thing and a little less of another. This has a lot of flexibility, this particular recipe. So that's why I decided to leave it that way. You're going to need cabbage. This is a cabbage mix with carrots. Sometimes they have red cabbage. I like red cabbage, but it didn't have it. If you have just cabbage and a head of cabbage, you can cut it. You can use it that way. You also are going to need a can of corn. Now, if you can find the corn that's called Mexicorn, it has red and green peppers in it. I couldn't find that brand, so what I did was I have a can of corn. You can also use frozen, and I have some red peppers, bell peppers that I sliced up or chopped up, and then this has my red onion, which is another thing. The recipe that you have calls for a 1/4 cup of red onion, and that's with lots of cabbage. I have probably a 1/4 cup here because I really like red onion, even though I'm not using a ton of cabbage. You also need a fresh lime. This is for the dressing. Some cumin, powdered cumin, some prepared ranch dressing. The recipe calls for a jalapeno. I don't have a fresh jalapeno, so I'm gonna add Cholula to make it a little bit spicy. I'm also going to use cilantro. I have a lot of that because I like it. And cheddar cheese. So the materials you need, if you don't have shredded already cheese, you need a cheese grater, a bowl to hold your coleslaw, a cutting board, a knife. If you have bags that you're opening, a pair of scissors, whether that's frozen corn or the coleslaw bag. You need a can opener to open your can if you have a can of corn. You need a measuring cup to measure out your ranch dressing, and some measuring spoons to measure out your cumin. And I think that's all the materials, the tools or materials that you're gonna need. So I'm just gonna start dumping here. This recipe is so simple. You add your cabbage. It goes really well with hamburgers. Let's see, can you see it better that way? No, we'll leave it up here. Hamburgers or chicken sandwiches or barbecue chicken, ribs. I love this coleslaw, so I'm probably just gonna eat it for lunch without anything else today. All right, now I chopped everything else, but I did not chop my cilantro yet, so I'm gonna do that now. And I hold on to it, and I just sort of slice it. If you want it to be really small, you can do that process again. I like mine to be a little bit chunky, and then if someone who's having it doesn't really like cilantro, they can take it out. So there I have my cabbage, my red onion, my red pepper, and cilantro, and I'm going to add half a can of corn because I'm using a little less cabbage. I don't need to use the whole can. So I'm gonna save that for something else later. And then I'm gonna add, I think I'm gonna wait and add my cheese later. So I'm going to squeeze my lime. This coleslaw is really good because it has that kick, and that's why it's called Texas two-step, because Texas is known for its Tex-Mex cuisine. So it's sort of that mixture between Texas, barbecue. This is also really good with any kind of barbecue. I guess I sort of said that. And so anything that you grill is really good with this coleslaw. So I'm gonna do half. Actually, this is a teaspoon. I meant to get half the tablespoon. So I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons. The recipe says 1 tablespoon. I personally can't get enough cumin. I love it. So I'm gonna use that to start, and then we'll see. So the recipe for all the huge batch that is printed has 3/4 of a cup. This is about a 1/4 cup of ranch dressing. Now that doesn't really look like enough, so I'm going to do another half, so I'm going to end up having about 1/2 cup of ranch. And then after I put the ranch, I'm going to stir it up. And before that, actually, I'm going to add my hot sauce. I like Cholula. It's a little bit sweet, not too hot. So before I mix everything, I'm going to add the cheese last because I don't want it to get all smashed up. But that's what it looks like. And I always forget something. I forgot my salad tossers. So now I have these. I keep telling you in these videos, you need to have all your materials set out before you start. And then I forget something. That's okay. All right, so you want to toss it really well to make sure that all of the cabbage is saturated with the ranch dressing and covered with it. Now, like I said, a lot of the ingredients we have, because I had a small bag of cabbage, but I used a whole lime instead of half a lime. My lime wasn't super juicy, so, all right. So I used about 1/2 cup of ranch, but I like a little bit more. So I'm gonna squirt a little more ranch. Be careful with that, because you don't want to overdo it, because that takes you back to the yucky, slimy coleslaw. At least takes me back when I was a kid and I didn't like coleslaw. So you don't want to overdo it, but you also don't want it to be dry, because who wants to just eat dry cabbage? That's not fun. So now I'm going to take my cheese grater. I've already grated my cheese, and on a paper towel, now I'm going to dump it in. And I'm going to toss it one more time. And there you have very fast, easy, and tasty Texas two-step coleslaw. There you go. Have a great barbecue. Don't forget to take a picture of your creation and load it on the website so that we can see your two-step. See you next time. Thanks for watching.